Hey there, everyone. Welcome back. Today, we will be discussing in the ever present economic constraint that we find ourselves in Nigeria at the moment. My fellow Lagosians are possibly wondering now more than ever, do I continue renting or do I possibly consider buying? Well, join us today as we compare the cost, benefits, and also give you key locations in which to consider when the topic of buying versus renting comes up. So let's start by discussing these key locations, such as Chevron Drive, Aja, Ibeju Lekki, Shangotedo, and Ibuefo. Now, in Chevron Drive, renting comes down to an average annual amount of approximately 8 million naira. The price ranges from 1.3 million to about 155 million naira, depending on the size and the property features. Now, in this same area, when we talk of buying houses and properties here average for about 240 million naira. The properties can be priced between 50 million to 800 million naira, once again, depending on their size and the structure of the property. Moving on to our next area, Aja. Now, Aja offers more affordable options, and you can averagely rent a flat here for around 1.5 million per annum. Regarding to buying, you can find an average of about 35 million naira because this area is accessible for potential homeowners. It's really great for people who maybe want to consider having families. The housing here is mid-range. Next is Ibeju Lekki. Now, Ibeju Lekki is in a rapidly developing area and has an average of about 800,000 naira per annum for rent. Yes, you heard me. 800,000 naira per annum for rent. And this is a rapidly developing area. So in a couple of years' time, this will go up. Now, regarding the houses to buy in this area, the pricing is available at around 25 million naira with potential for value appreciation once again because it is a developing area. So watch out for Ibeju Lekki especially. Moving on, we have Shangotedo. Now, Shangotedo is a lovely area for families. Once again, it's another mid-range area, just like Ajah, but I would say Shangotedo is more central to Lagos. So in Shangotedo for rent, we've got average prices for flats at around 1.2 million naira. And then to purchase a house in this same area, we've got approximately 40 million naira. Now, once again, I did say the prices here are decided based upon it being, affordable and also giving you that proximity to central Lagos. You're a little bit closer to newer developments moving towards Epe, and then you are also closer to Lekki Phase 1 and the rest of those environs, right? So, moving further towards Lekki Phase 1, I give you our final option, Ibuefon. Now, Ibuefon is developing as well. It's fairly a new area. There's been a lot of projects going on there in the recent couple of years. It is a strategic location because it is closer to Lekki environs, but not really, and it's not as farther as places like Chevron and Aja. Just right in the middle, a sweet spot. Now, in Ibuefon, flats average for about 2 million naira per annum for rent. And then to buy houses here, you can get averagely 70 million naira, which is fair considering that it is a strategic location. Okay, now that I've given you our key locations, next up we're going to be discussing the advantages and disadvantages of renting and buying. Now, I'm going to start with renting. The pros of renting is that you get lower upfront costs, flexibility, and flexibility to relocate, and no maintenance responsibility. But it also has its cons. Now, let's go to that. The cons are that there's no equity building, there is a potential for annual increments with your rent, also long term payment without any chance of ownership in sight. Now, this is one of its disadvantages, so which is where we move on to the likes of buying. Now, one of the pros of buying is that you get investment in an appreciative asset because properties do become more valuable with time, depending on where they are purchased sometimes. Now, buying also offers you stability and control over your property. Three, buying gives you a potential rental income, depending if you want to turn your house to a B&B or a short let. That's something you can't do under renting because it belongs to someone else and it would bring a lot of legal issues. But buying also has its cons. So one of the cons of buying is that you get high initial costs. This would be your down payments, legal fees, agency fees, and then you also have to be aware of market fluctuation risk, especially when you are shopping for houses to buy. There is that chance that sometimes the house that you maybe bookmarked about like a year ago suddenly it goes up in price or it might reduce in your favor, right? And even also when you want to sell as well, you have to take that into account. So our final con when it comes to buying would be ongoing maintenance and property management costs. So this would be things like renovation, and like I said, if you turn it to like a rental, if you turn it to a rental income, you would need an agent and things like this, so on and so forth. Although having areas recommended by us would be an added benefit, but what good is an added benefit without a criteria to measure against? So, here, I give to you a list of criteria you might want to consider when choosing your locations and many other things with regards to renting and buying. And the first question you're going to ask yourself is how long do you plan to stay on Lagos Island? If it's short term, then renting is better for you. But if it's long term, maybe perhaps this is a family home, then you might want to consider buying instead. Now, number two question to ask yourself is, do I have enough savings in my bank account for a huge down payment? Because this would be a possibility. If the answer is yes, and you can do that, then go for buying. But if the answer is no, maybe perhaps your savings are still small and still humble and you're still growing, then rent. The final question for one to ask themselves in this situation is, am I financially stable? So, do you have a steady source of income or maybe multiple sources of income from different investments over the years? Then you might want to consider buying. You are well in the right to buy. But if your income is still, going up and down, you're still in a teething phase or a growing phase, then you should be considering renting. But in the end, the decision whether to rent or buy lies in your hands, and it is usually based on your financial goals. But what I'm here today to tell you is that no matter your decision, just remember this, that Niger Spider is here for you. We've got you covered doing your research and everything. Just always refer back to us, and you can visit our website at www.nigerspider.com. So, guys, with that, I bid you farewell. But before you leave the video, I just would like to ask you, are you team renting or are you team buying? Drop your comments below and we can discuss about this further. Love you guys. See you in our next video. Have a nice day.